So thank you all for coming today. Thank you, Tech for Dev, for coming all the way here and bringing us together, and also helping us to gather our thoughts so that we can give the government back, because it is really important that you actually bring people that are facing these things. Thank you for this and the initiative. I also want to thank everybody for coming out of their busy time.
The program we are doing is called Digital Access Program. And Digital Access Program, the whole ideology, the whole philosophy is how do we make access to digital tools that power the digital economy equitable for all. So there is what we call digital jobs, which means that these jobs really, they require your intellect and your skills on how to manipulate technology to get certain tasks accomplished. So ladies and gentlemen, having laid this foundation, if we were to create digital jobs which will require technology to work, it means that we need high-speed internet connectivity, or what we ordinarily call broadband, more sophisticated language.
My name is Solomon Ayamoba. I'm the head IT project ICT agency in Edo State. So I'm part of the delegate for the deliberation of technical support. It's analyzing the reform on right-of-way and digital job playbook. The event was impactful and exciting, and the deliberation was educating, and we started working on the digital workbook policy. So at the end of this event, I believe the takeaway will help Edo State know what digital opportunities are available in the state and how we can harness those opportunities to prosper our state and also improve the economy of the state.
It would be nice if we actually find these jobs and identify them so that we can push government to pin these job spaces and make them available for our people. And ultimately, we all win. We should win. We should win, really. All of us should win.
Good afternoon. My name is Mr. Olu Adekunle. I am a monitoring and evaluation specialist with the Nigeria Economic Summit Group Policy Innovation Center. Yes, why we're here is actually, to rub mind, how we can adopt locally and act on what they call the digital jobs playbook. As you are aware, where the technology, ecosystem, both locally and globally, is becoming very dynamic. So it's been very, very productive. The inputs, the interaction has been very, very rich over the course of the last 2 days, and I believe that hence the fine point jobs played in the nearest future. So thank you very much.
My name is Olushola Odumbi. I'm Partnerships Engagement Manager at Tech for Dev. These events have been super amazing. We've been in Benin City since June, and it's very endearing to see stakeholders leave their jobs, their clients, and show up for these events. Every single time we have called them to show up. We've had 3 physical events for 2 whole days, and this couldn't have been possible without the support of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group for convening this initiative. So we want to thank the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, for their continued support in ensuring that the Benin City, Edo State as a whole is inclusive in the digital transformation. We're grateful to the Ministry of Digital Economy, Science and Technology, and also to the ICTA for their continued support, for mobilizing all the stakeholders that are here today, to all the private stakeholders, CEOs, directors, assistants, and representatives that were all, present at this event. We're super grateful for your.
The fact that there's poor public relation and dissemination of government policies to the public, and even within government, there are gaps. People do not know what policies are existing and the content of those policies, so they are not able to run together, and even the public is not able to say, okay, government, this is what you are doing, this is how we can key into it. So.
My name is Kelvin Wybie. I am the Managing Director for the Edo State Investment Promotion Office, also known as the Ease of Doing Business Secretariat. Today we are having a policy review on the digital economy inclusion in Edo State. And this is being done in partnership with what we call Tech for Dev, that's Tech for Development. And what we are doing right now is to make sure that we are able to domesticate the digital economy policy from the federal level, and they have had the different areas of it. But most importantly for us in Edo State is what we call digital inclusivity. We want to be able to have digital inclusion where every Edo person can access technology.
My name is Begita Eno Koduwa, the Permanent Secretary, Edo State Information Communication Technology Agency. The workshop we have today is the inclusion of the digital economy, which has to do, the main reason for this workshop is to domesticate the policy, the inclusion of the national policy on digital economy by the Edo State government. So we're bringing stakeholders together for this workshop, both private and government stakeholders, to be able to discuss and analyze how the digital policy can be domesticated in Edo State.
We're grateful to the Edo State government, the Ministry of Digital Economy, Science and Tech, and also the ICTA for their support, and also to our funding partners, the Nigerian Economic Summit Group and the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do this. So thank you very much once again. We really appreciate your time and your contributions.
Hello everyone, my name is Yuan Abs. I'm the Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Digital Economy, Science and Technology, Edo State. So today we are continuing conversation on the domestication of the MDEX document, the Nigerian Digital Economy Policy and Strategy document.
So we look at the issues that are currently in that sector, or with those policies, or with those strategies or regulations. Then we recommend solutions from our own wealth of experience.
Digital industrialization of rural and urban locations through the rapid implementation of smart city infrastructures.
And I believe personally, this coming together, implementing and domesticating this policy document is long overdue. However, Edo has taken the initiative. As a front burner, as always, Edo is looking to domesticate this with our implementing partners, Tech4Dev.
To create a dynamic regulatory environment that accelerates the development of the digital economy and inclusive stakeholder participation.
Good morning, everybody.
Now, the availability of data helps people make intelligent decisions.
I think that the workshop...
Good morning and welcome to today's event. I hope you can see me. Welcome. We're grateful for your time. Thank you for joining us today. You've been with us since we began this journey sometime in June, and here we are today trying to wrap up. Again, welcome. We really don't have much time, but I'll just quickly set the ground rules and we'll begin our conversation for today. The activities that have been lined up first is the HOS, who is ably represented by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Digital Economy and Science and Technology, will be giving us a welcome address very briefly. Then after we'll a quick welcome address on the service and also a keynote which will be delivered by her. After that, we'll be having a presentation of findings right away because I think we are out of time. Once we are done with that, we'll bring on our panelists who will be discussing the digital economy and how we can consolidate on the wins that Edo State, has made thus far. So it's going to be an engaging time. The panelists that have been assembled, I think they are master of the subjects, people that have invested in this space or who have also run government enterprises, so they know in and out of the workings of government and digital economy as an evolving, sector, as the case may be. Then, of course, we'll have Q&A where you'll be able to interact with the panelists, and they will also be answering your question. And I'm very certain that a lot of you, please confirm you can hear me. Yes, I think so. Mr. Bassi, can you hear me? Please just nod your head. All right, great. I was hearing a voice from the background, so I wasn't sure whether you were hearing me. Then, of course, we interact with them to answer all your questions. Then after that, we'll draw the curtain to a close. And again, just to reemphasize, today's event is really about telling you some of the key things that we have found when we came to Edo State to do assessments of the digital economy landscape and trying to develop, a strategy and implementation, an action plan for digital economy, e-government, and jobs that Edo State can create out of the digital economy. So ladies and gentlemen, without much ado, I'll hand over to Shola, who will welcome our keynote speaker for the day. Shola, over to you.
Good morning, everyone. Just confirming that you can hear me. Okay, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much once again for your time and for joining us on the call today. Without further ado, like Emmanuel has said, I would hand over to our amicable and admirable PS, person of Madam Yua Naps, to please, welcome us and just give some sort of thoughts and words to the event we have today. Good morning, Ma.
Good morning, Stella. Good morning, everyone. Kelvin, good morning. I see you on the chat. Good morning, everyone, young, old, and all of the ages in between. Really nice to be here today. I want to especially welcome everyone to these August events in August. I don't know how to say it. Can you all hear me? Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, ma'am.
We
Good
can hear you,
morning.
ma'am.
We can hear you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. Again, I would like to send in the HOS and apologies. He's not able to join us today. But that being said, I'll quickly jump onto being the keynote speaker to talk about why we're here today and a couple of wins, challenges, and what next. So my topic today is digital economic transformation drive. And we all know that in an era defined by rapid technology advancement and interconnectivity, we believe that digital economy has emerged as a driving force behind global growth, innovation, and progress. We all will agree with that. This transformation is not just about adopting new technologies, it's also about reshaping the very fabric of how we conduct business, interact with each other, and envision the future. So for Edo, digital economy is characterized by seamless flow of information. That is our drive. That's what we want to achieve. That's what we are hoping that all of you in this coming together collaboration will help this achieve for all our purposes. The proliferation of data, the integration of cutting-edge technologies, and a whole lot has the power to redefine industries, empower individuals, and reshape society. It is also imperative that we seize this moment to not only adapt technology or adapt to digital age, but also to harness its potential for greater good. As we embark on this journey of digital transformation, several key principles must guide our efforts. Number one, I try to put a list down so I don't forget anything that is important. Number one, inclusivity and accessibility. We must now begin to ensure that the benefits of the digital economy are accessible to all. By all, I mean the PWDs, girl child, women, men, society as a whole, and those states in caps. Bridging the digital divide and leaving no one behind. By providing equal opportunities to participation and access to resources, we can create a more equitable and just society. So bringing everybody together, we have started the process. We have got some people that represent a group of people in. We are hoping that these people that we have been having engagement with, both private and public, will help to push this information down to family members, club members, community members. That's what we mean by inclusivity and accessibility to digital economy. Innovation and collaboration. Innovation thrives in environments where diverse minds come together. Collaboration between government, industries, academia, and civil society is essential to foster creativity, solve complex challenges, and drive progress. We all know that all of us on this platform, all of us have been coming together, see digital economy from different perspectives. We all have our thoughts around it, and we're hoping that coming together means bringing ingenuity and varied ideas together for the overall good of the state. Number three, data governance and privacy. With the exponential growth of data, safeguarding privacy and establishing robust data governance frameworks are most paramount. We must find the delicate balance between leveraging data for societal benefits while respecting individual rights and privacy. I know that, again, it's about developing policies and laws. A couple of these laws are somewhere entrenched in our constitution or somewhere in federal, but can we begin to look at these laws and see how it affects us directly and affects the people around us? So what are individual rights? What are the privacy rights that exist in the country that we can harness and put into these documents to make things work for us? Number four, education and upskilling. A digital economy demands a digitally skilled workforce. Edo is, again, at the forefront. We are burning burner, we are raising bags, we are putting people in classrooms, we are putting people in subsets, we are putting people in meetings, we are growing skills, we are enhancing technology usage in our ecosystem. We believe that Edo, as always, leads the path. Promoting lifelong learning, upskilling, and reskilling initiatives will equip individuals with the tools they need to thrive in an evolving technological landscape. We all know about Adobe. We all know that Mr. Governor is very passionate about technology. We know the amount of investment he has put in technology and upskilling Edu staff, our Edu students in school using technology tools. Sustainability, number 5, sustainability and ethics. Our digital transformation must align with sustainable practices and ethical considerations. By incorporating environmental and social responsibility, we can create a digital ecosystem that is not only prosperous, but also environmentally conscious and socially responsible. Number 6, cybersecurity and resilience. With increased digitalization comes heightened cybersecurity risks. We all know that. Most of the people that we're dealing with are young people. They understand the risk that happens in the tech space. They understand the risk that happens in the digital space. We know about the ethical and unethical ways of engaging in the digital space. So it becomes every day more important that we pay attention to having our network secured, having our devices secured, so that we don't have surprises waiting at the end of the tunnel. Building robust cybersecurity measures and cultivating a culture of resilience is crucial to protect critical infrastructure and information. Number 7, policy and regulation. This is where Tech4Dev is sitting with us and making sure to help us imbibe new ways of doing things by using policies and regulating these, capping it with the M&E to make sure that all the things that we have spent the best part of the last 6 months developing comes to bear. Government and regulatory bodies play a pivotal role in shaping the economy trajectory. Agile and adaptive policies that encourage innovation while safeguarding public interest are essential for sustainable growth. The last but not the least, entrepreneurship and startups. The digital economy offers a fertile ground for entrepreneurs and startups to thrive. By fostering an environment that nurtures innovation and supports small businesses, we can drive economic dynamics and save jobs. We can create more jobs, we can secure the jobs, and we can actually help grow those jobs. The entrepreneurs are our biggest checkpoint and our biggest check mark. By that I mean, for every to grow in GDP, we must begin to cohabit and coexist and improve MSMEs in our ecosystem. They are the ones that will help us grow. They are the ones that will also make sure we don't grow if we don't grow them. And again, part of my job today is to look at the wins and challenges, and like Shola put it to me, what next? I think, I believe a lot of people agree with me that Edo has a couple of wins. We have since adopted technology. We live in an ecosystem now where technology drives all our business processes. We have a cut-off date for September 1st to go paperless. Again, we know that it's not really 100% paperless, but Edo would do its best to stay at the 1995 cut-off mark for paperless. Edo has, across 18 local government now, built technology infrastructure, hoping that our MSMEs, our investors will be able to put layers, value additional layers on those infrastructure that Edo has created. Edo has also recently, the Mr. Governor has also recently created and established the Agency of Data Collection. So this is also a win. It means this agency will help us to bring all our data together, clean them up, and make them available for use in whatever form that we want them. The civil servants, again, we're partnering with Tech4Dev. We are training people. We have a mark of 3,000 people that have since started. We've had 4 batches of 200 each, and we are continuing next week by God's grace to grow the numbers until we get to the 3,000 or get everybody in the EDSD ecosystem digitally and technologically empowered. Okay, so a couple of ways. We have hotspots in the city, we have walkthroughs for EDSD staff. But again, in all of these, what are our challenges? We have still found that one of the biggest challenges we have is lack of awareness. People don't know what technology can do. People don't know about technology. Go to the street and ask an everyday person what they understand by digital economy. They have no clue. So it becomes a big challenge, and we're hoping that we can create, an awareness strategy, working with internal partners and external partners like the Good Self Tech for Dev and the NESG and other partners, GIS, we have GIS and others. We're hoping that we can collaborate and bring people together to help create this awareness that we are hoping to bring to them. Lack of trust is also a big challenge for the citizens. People don't trust government. How can we begin to reshape government image and create trust around people? What about low broadband penetration? Well, Edo has put in the local government to essential services. We also need partners and investors to be able to expand what the government has done. Government honestly cannot do everything. We need everyone to jump on this boat. And the thing that most people will say again as a big challenge is funding. Yes, funding. Everybody knows that technology is not cheap. Can we begin to look at local content to drive down price? Can we begin to look at things in-house that we can do that is specific and unique to our own communities that we can use in driving technology costs down? And then what next? What are our next steps? Well, one of the key things that we hope to get from this engagement and coming together is to produce a document, a policy document that is workable and that we can present to Mr. Governor and get it to the House of Assembly and make it a standing law. Then we can now begin to evaluate and monitor and enforce usage in the way that the document is going to be co-created. What about engaging with citizens? I think that we should begin our engagement more. I don't think this is our last stop with Tech for Dev. I think they are going to be our partner for a bit. And we're hoping that we can get more citizen engagement, more town hall meetings, going to communities to have these conversations so that we can get everybody on board. Edo State Government will continue to source more ways to engage adoption of digital inclusion by way of culture, values, what are our values, what are our culture, because again, digitization goes beyond just using technology in the workspace or people think it's just computer, but it encompasses the whole of what are our beliefs, what language do we speak, how do we say things, how do we communicate to people. I think that the next steps are a couple of things, but as we began with baby steps, I think we can also do our next step in baby box steps. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know that time is spent, and I do not plan to speak for all day. So, I think in conclusion, the Digital Economy Transformation Drive represents a pivotal moment in our history as Edo people. It calls upon us to harness the power of technology to shape our future that is not only prosperous, but also equitable, sustainable, and ethical. As we navigate this transformation, let us remain steadfast in our commitment to inclusivity, collaboration, innovation, and responsible stewardship of the digital realm. Thank you, everybody, and you're welcome.
All right, thank you very much, Ma, for that, discussion. I mean, I even penned down some of the things you were speaking on, and it's nice to hear that, you also see this, partnership sustainable in the nearest future and for us to continue with more projects. Hi, Emmanuel. Over back to you. Thank you very much, Ma, once again.
Sarah, thank you so much.
Sorry?
I said thank you too. Thank you too, Sarah.
Okay, thank you too, Ma. I don't know if Emmanuel can hear me. Hi, Emmanuel.
Hi, Shola. Okay. Yeah, I can hear you. I'm trying to get my slides up, but if you mind, maybe just let's recognize a few persons that are in the house. Please go ahead, because I know we have some key functionary governments functionaries in the house and some other private businesses. So if we could just do justice to that, that would be good, so that we don't skip it in the process. He said, to whom honor is due, honor is given. Please, let's just recognize their presence before my slides come up.
All right. Thank you very much for that, Emmanuel. Thank you for also pointing my attention to that. I know that on the call right now, we have the Managing Director, Edo State Investment Promotion Office, in person of Mr. Kelvin. Thank you very much, sir, for your time. I know that he's also here as a panelist, as Emmanuel had mentioned earlier on the call, that we're going to have a moderated panel session which just speaks on the on building an inclusive state digital economy in Edo State. So, well, very honored to have your presence on this call, and also as our panelist, and also to Mr. Ekwen, who is the executive council moderator for the Can you hear me? Can you still hear me?
Executive council member, you mean to say?
Oh, my bad. Executive council member of the Benin Chambers of Commerce. Thank you very much, sir, for your time, and also for honoring our invitation to be a panelist on this session. We also have Mrs. Eduge. I hope I pronounced that properly. Mrs. Abulalo. She's the Managing Director of the Edo State Transport Authority. Thank you very much, Ma, for your honoring our invitation. And also, last but not least on our panelists, names of panelists is Mr. Ogene Maru, who is the head of services at Inoki Tech Limited. And before I forget, our moderator, Mr. Basil. Thank you very much. He's the CTO of the Midtown Tech Hub. Thank you very much for your time and presence and for honoring our invitation. And this doesn't mean that I'm not going to recognize other guests who have joined the call. I see the director at Ministry of Digital Economy, Mr. Kwebo. He has been with us since the beginning of these conversations last year, and he has also managed this relationship and the project very well. Thank you very much, sir, for your presence. To all our stakeholders that are on the call right now, from the private sector and also the government sector, thank you very much for your time. If I start to name all the names on this list, I'll probably take a really long time calling everyone and just, thanking them for their presence and time and for honoring our invitation. But nevertheless, we sincerely appreciate the contributions, and we're looking forward to making Edo great again. And in the nearest future, because this exercise started out as an effort to not just domesticate the NDEPs, but also to promote digital transformation and inclusion in Edo State. So yeah, thank you very much. All protocols are duly observed. Thank you for your time, for your presence, and we'll begin in earnest. So over to you, Emmanuel. Hopefully your slides are up now.
Thank you, Shola. Please confirm you can hear me and you can see my slide already.
I can hear you, but I can't see your slides.
Okay. I think
maybe you can also start off with ground rules, just in the event that people want to drop questions or speak.
All right, so just so while the presentation is going on, please, if there are questions and questions or comments, please use the comment section if there are general comments. If there are questions, there is a Q&A window on the bottom of your Zoom application. Just click on it and you'll be able to see how to get us engaged. I think that would be about that. And raise your hand if you need to speak verbally. The host will grant you a microphone audio so that you can unmute your microphone so that you can talk. Please keep your questions below 1 minute. If possible, 30 seconds, just go straight to the point. And yeah, that will suffice. So yes, I think that will be about that. So let me quickly please just again confirm you can see my slide now. I don't know why this is not showing yet, but I'm resharing. Shola, please confirm you can see my slide.
It's
coming up. Now.
It's up, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's event. Really what we are doing here today, like I said earlier, is to share with you some of the critical findings that we have received, what we found in a series of engagements with the good people of Edo State and all the business, the entire business community, including the public sector. So we're just going to, so this presentation will cut across 3 key areas, and we'll begin with the core digital economy. From there, we'll evolve into the e-government space, which is a critical component of a digital economy. Then, of course, we move to job creation, and specifically digital jobs. So hang on with me. I think I have less than 20 minutes to do this presentation. All right, so what gave birth to the whole concept of running a digital economy series implementation project is the fact that digital economy has now become the mainstay of modern governments. So technology incursion into business, into society, into government, all of this now shape how we consume, how we buy, how we create value, how we deliver value, either as a people or as businesses. And all of you will agree with me that these days you can, through your social media platform, begin to do business without even going to TV to advertise, without even to pay above the line or below the line marketing cost. So with your 1,000 Naira data bundle that can carry for you can post pictures and all of that. That is digital empowering an economy. Government also can begin to reach out to more people. For instance, government to people payment in such a way that government revenues or government resources, funds are not leaked or not lost in the process. What do we mean by this? If you recall, when the bank verification number came on board some years ago, I think that would be around 2012, if I'm not mistaken, 2010 to 2012, yeah, I think so. When the BVN came on board, we've heard several stories of how government recovered many huge sums of money that people didn't claim in their bank accounts. So CBN had to mop up all of that cash because BVN ties everybody to all the accounts that you have. So if you have 100 accounts, 1 BVN. And if you cannot account for all the sources of the money, then there is a problem somewhere. So again, that allows government to trace, who has received government to people payment, who has not received. But in spite of all these opportunities that the digital economy presents, for instance, you realize that there are still challenges. If we pivot a little to the core business community, you also understand again that the likes of Jumia, Konga, Glovo, OP, and the many e-commerce platforms of this world have now revolutionized how we deliver services. So you necessarily do not have to go and rent a shop in a shopping complex to pay electricity bill, pay store rental fees and all of that. Just rent a shop online and upload your products. Then of course, we call it a platform economy where one side of the market is built for the provider, for the provider, then it's opened up to consumers, or vice versa. You can decide to focus on consumer first. Once you have that scale, then you onboard more providers to now start listing products and services. So you could have the platform economy in many ways, but the essence of the platform economy that is powered by digital technology is the fact that, number one, it gives us economies of scale, which means you can reach more people within a short time. Take an example, the WhatsApp. If you have WhatsApp and you are the only one that can use WhatsApp, it's of no use, just as the telephone. But the more people that use WhatsApp, the more value you're able to get. So in those days, it was one-to-one chat. We started sending videos rather than text. We could send videos, we could send multimedias and all of that. Then it grew to a space you can now have group calls, you can have video calls. So a lot of us don't even make calls again using our voice subscription, but instead we use data, calls. So all of this make digital economy a bit more concrete than it used to sound abstract in those days. So in building a digital economy, there are key pillars that we found that. So the National Digital Economy a plan and a policy and strategy that was created by the federal government launched in late 2019, which is to run from 2020 to 2030, had identified key priorities, about 8 of them. So when we came to Edo State, one of the things we did first was to socialize all of these plans, these key pillars with the people of Edo State, all the stakeholders. And one thing that was very, very resounding was the fact that they were asking the question, why do we need to reinvent the wheel and not just domesticate some of these pillars that are here, because they really speak to the core issues of Edo State. They went further to say, anyway, our objectives might be different, but these pillars are cross-cutting, and besides just being cross-cutting pillars, there are also nuances of Edo State that we need to factor in rolling out this digital economy or pillars in terms of implementation by the government. So this will give a background or a springboard for the rollout of a comprehensive e-government. And thanks to Mr. Governor and his cabinet, the people of the government of Edo State has now done remarkably well also in the area of e-government. But of course, from the engagement we've had, people have said we can do more, we can consolidate on the wins, which of course the panel session will be talking to any moment from now. So pillar number 1, local content development and promotion. So what we did here was to first start with surfacing assumptions to say, if, for instance, we are focusing on a pillar such as local content development and promotion, what should, in essence, we be focusing on really? What do we think if we focus on this pillar we'll achieve? So these were basic assumptions, or what you call in the academic sphere, a hypothesis that stakeholders believe should stand. So number 1, they said, the stakeholders said, if we give tax incentives, if the state government gives tax incentives to indigenous firms, then their growth and sustainability over time will be promoted, as well as their contribution to the economy. So in essence, so we're going to share a more comprehensive report with everyone just after the government has ratified, or we are discussing today some of these highlights. Again, is to get feedback from you. Then, like Madam P.S. said, Permanent Secretary said, government will ratify this, and it becomes a working document, right? So that's number 1. Number 2 is that if we're able to standardize quality and control what comes out of Edo State, then adoption of locally made products and services will be driven, and that will also lead to growth of local firms, and local firms will be able to live beyond the 5-year period that, the doom's prophecy of that every local business usually do not last beyond 5 years. But when I say that, if government can put standards in place and control counterfeiting of product and brands, then people are able to, their product will be, standardized, will be of standard, and people will buy, get value for their money, and continuous patronage will lead to the growth and sustainability of this business. So we also identified that a key assumption or hypothesis is that incubation and accelerator hubs are very critical to mentoring and nurturing local talent to drive their development. What this simply means is the fact that people have business ideas. They say, oh, I have a business, and they start business. They fail over time. But there's what we call in the innovation space, an innovation that is too early, that arrives in market too early, or the one that is, just in time,
or the one that is late to the market. So if it is too early to the market, it means that the need for that innovation, for that product, for that service is not really at that level where it can drive your solution can break even or can begin to make money to become sustainable. So you are going to borrow money over time to be running that business. People may not even like the solution because the business case is not really concrete, or the social impact case as the case may be. So you are not going to get a lot of funding. But if it is right in time, it means that it is meeting a need. So we'll talk about value proposition market fit. Then if it is late to the market, it means that people have moved on. It's just like today you want to build a 2G phone or a 2G application that, people have gone beyond that. 2Gs are slow, so if you are building that, we cannot download the type of data that, we need to run in a digital economy. So those assumptions are very critical. Now, if we protect intellectual property rights and patent homegrown solutions in Edo State, then we'll be able to promote indigenous content development and adoption, which means that if I come to a technology hub, and by the way, I wanted to speak to point number 3, that the Edo State government had also built innovation and incubation hubs, that promote business, that nurture young talent. Here, we are now saying number 4, that if we protect the intellectual content, give them property rights, which means that young people have ideas in their head. They can openly come and present their ideas in this innovation hub. Nobody steals their idea, so they are proud innovators. And 5, that government adoption of homegrown solution is very critical if we are to support the growth of indigenous content development. And when we say indigenous content, it means that we're actually referring to made in Edo State, right? Not made in Nigeria now, which is indigenous at a national level, but made in Edo State. We're able to promote confidence. People develop goods and services, and they put the label of, made in Edo State, not say made in China. So it will drive a lot of economic activities. And lastly, the stakeholders agree that although there may be a plethora of indigenous talent across the state, we need technology incubation centers. Although they also exist, they have not properly been harnessed to meaningfully engage the talent pool, for the development and promotion of, our local content. What this really means is that there are too many people in Edo State, young innovators, youth, who don't still have access to these incubation hubs, who are not putting their talents into productive engagement, and that government could further stimulate this innovation and incubation hubs. And I think I'm very happy and excited that we have people from that space that will be talking to us in the next session. So if those assumptions are true, then what should this pillar actually achieve? And here you see that the first pillar objective that is developed, that is built here, is that a local content development and promotion pillar should help develop and nurture a robust and diverse talent pool for the indigenous content development through talent development scheme. And Edo have Edo Innovate, Edo Jobs, and other capacity building programs. So this also fits into that core pillar of the Make Edo Great Again agenda of the current administration. And what we're saying here is that if we continue to develop and that this local content pillar must focus on building local talent pool for both export and indigenous use. Again, the pillar should also develop indigenous businesses to become world-class service provider. So can we export out of Edo? And export not just means tangible goods, but also intangible services. So people are here, right? And I think a typical example that was given is that if you look at the Victor Osimhen, who is from Edo State, who earns about 200,000 pounds a week, or 200,000 euros a week, that's a lot of money. Can Edo State start investing in scouting for local talent in that area and other areas, such that we are not afraid of talent migration? But the more we produce talent, we develop talent, the more, we're able to send talent, export talent abroad, and we get foreign diaspora remittances. That also boosts our economy. So take, for example, if there's an academy in Edo State that nurtures, let's even say 10 Victor Osimhen in a year, then as soon as they get signed on, let's assume that 10% of their sign-on fees, comes to Edo State. That is massive revenue. Massive revenue that Edo State can make in terms of foreign earning. Right. So the third one is this pillar must focus on creating public sector patronage of digital solutions, made by these innovative local content providers. So Edo State must, take its focus from importing solutions from elsewhere, from Lagos, from all over the world, and begin to look at how do we promote these services with this. So by the time Edo State is using locally made solutions, whether in the ICT sector or whichever sector you want to think about, businesses are encouraged. We are also saving, capital, so we are reducing capital flight. Okay, again, the focus should be on creating conditions and frameworks for iterative problem solving by indigenous digital technology and innovation service provider. What this also means, it also speaks to the innovation and accelerator programs that, look, we need to develop a hub where people come with solutions. And I want to give you an expo for those who are not from public service here. That the Edo State government has now launched a program in its second year that automatically employs first-class graduates indigents of Edo State, right? And in 6 months incubation period, at the end of it, they are asked to identify critical problems that challenge public administration or public sector service delivery. Then, after identifying those problems, they create the solution to solve those problems, right? So if we are able to do this, it means that we are tasking, we are empowering our talent, to begin to think out of the box and become global solutions provider. Of course, the 5th one will be promoting adoption of Made in Edo, which we spoke about. 6 is to drive internally generated revenue of the state, through growth of local business, consequence upon patronage of indigenous products and services. Then, of course, we also speak to, this pillar should also focus on supporting increased investment in local businesses and promotion of job creation, which we will speak to in the 3rd part of this presentation. So this is for local content development. Then we went to digital society and emerging technologies. The key assumption here is that there is a high demand for digital solutions in Edo State, right? Even at the national level. So it makes it necessary to invest in technology as well as upskill the digital workforce. So this is a key assumption, that for us to have a society that is connected, that is powered by digital technology, we must invest, right, in digital upskilling, because these solutions are needed at the state, so we can provide them locally. What objectives should we be realized, should we be looking at achieving here? One is to promote digital industrialization of rural and urban locations through rapid implementation of smart city infrastructure. So not just people in Edo State, not just people in Ekpoma, not just people in Uromi, not just people in Aoshi, but people elsewhere, somewhere in Igbo Bazua, and think of all the remote places in Edo State, that wherever you are able to connect to digital solutions. You have broadband infrastructure well rolled out. So it also curbs rural urban migration, therefore reducing the stress on the housing deficit that is already witnessed in the urban centers, and of course, overpopulation. The pillar also focuses on creating digital jobs, seeking to create digital jobs by upskilling the labor force to meet demand of digitally enabled enterprise, either locally or globally, right? Again, the pillar should also focus on realizing digital technologies, the big contribution of digital technologies to the economy. Things around, and I know somebody from the Transport Authority will be speaking to this, of how digital tools help us to advance, and the city, the society, in terms of connecting and monitoring traffic and all of those things. Again, promoting research in emerging technologies with the view that digital technology can improve the livelihood of Nigeria. And of course, there is a focus on skills rather than degrees. So for us to have society that is digitally included, not everybody can afford the university education. We've seen people who read medicine and they now went into IT. So if your son wants to play football, if your son wants to learn coding, if your daughter wants to do cybersecurity, there's no need. Can we change the focus from 4 years university to now building certifications, because that is what is obtained globally, right? But of course, a core component of education is built into that. And lastly is the fact that the digital society pillar must also focus on accelerating digital inclusion in a country, in Nigeria, by taking advantage of the spread of existing infrastructure across the country. So this is really Edo State leveraging on national critical infrastructure. Then, of course, there is developmental regulation. So I would just state here that the core of the developmental regulation is really about making regulations, grow businesses, not stifling the innovation of businesses. So the idea is that once businesses are springing up, regulation must be able to help them to scale, not the other way. And yes, so these are the critical pillars. Objectives of that pillar. Now, what we decided to do is to now pick use cases. So if you look at developmental regulation, its strategic priority is market enabling environment for economic growth and development. So for businesses to thrive, for the state to develop, this pillar is saying, look, one of the key strategic priorities is that create a market enabling environment. And I know that Mr. Kelvin will be speaking to Edo State Ease of Doing Business and what the government is doing in that area. So this is really what that pillar speaks to. Create a market enabling environment where business can grow. What are some of the proposed initiatives? Harmonize, existing tax structure so that we can remove multiple taxation, digitize, make digital, accessible to all. And of course, let there be a digital economy policy that we can reference. So Madam PS, Mrs. Yuanas has also spoken to this. In the very short term, there's need to review and harmonize multiple taxation across the state. There's need to roll out, programs that foster the inclusion of, all Edo citizens. And of course, there is need to harmonize, all digital economy related policies to help grow businesses across these proposed initiatives. On the long term, which is 3 to 5 years, one tax platform that houses all taxpayers' information. So all the taxes that I'm paying, government should be able to view them. And if I am faithful, I begin to earn some form of incentives that will encourage me to pay. So for instance, one of the things that was proposed is that for every tax I pay, I get a percentage of it in enable points. So I could go to any government infrastructure, listed private businesses and convert or liquidate those points. So I want to do my vehicle license renewal. I have something in my tax card that is up to 15,000 naira. And if the fee is 20, I can liquidate that 15,000 and just add 5,000 to it. So government is giving me back 50K for paying my tax promptly, right? And again, so the idea of multiple taxation, of harmonizing is not to say that you only pay as you earn, your salary tax or your profit tax. You will not do VAT. No, we're just saying that the point is that if you're doing land development, housing development, Ministry of Lands, and Housing or Service will not collect, then there will be another local authority that will come and say this is the developmental fee for the local government. And of course, I know this administration has also eliminated the DEVE in Edo State. And I know when we mentioned that, I think everybody was, very vivacious about that. So those are some of the critical things. Of course, in the long term, from transaction engagement, to transformational engagement by making ICT based. So when we say inclusion for all, it means that everybody should be able to access government. Everybody should be able to access, internet, broadband, and any digital services, because it will not be only transactional, but people have this transformative feel, or what you call emotive feel that, look, I was supposed to go to the Ministry of, Digital Economy to do this, and it should have taken me a whole day, but I was able to do it from my own house. So it is transformational in terms of the experiential learning journey. Is just mind blowing, and people want to key with it. And of course, enact, amend laws and regulations as well as guidelines, that have to speak to, ICT, and also empower all the directorates, the ministries, departments, and agencies to be able to enforce that. And of course, the enablers you need for here is a technical committee on tax reforms, legislation to empower tax reforms, government commitment, and state policy on digital economy. So that is that. I think I've spoken to local content development. In terms of the strategic priority for local content development, so one of the things that was said here is there has to be innovation research. Let people not just say, oh, I want this business. The government is giving people money and they just go and grab the money and they can't do anything. So there has to be research in that area of innovation that help to guide people. So you could have a hackathon, you could have a masterclass for innovators, right? A 3 days, a 1 week, masterclass or so, where people come and you teach them the art of innovation, whether it is process or product innovation, whether it is incremental transformation, all the types of innovation and the the basis, so that people know how to identify where problem lies and how to tailor their innovations towards solving those problems. And of course, entrepreneurial financing. So for those who have genuine innovations that, have promising impact on society, people, and government, as well as, the business community, there is need to support them with some form of entrepreneurial financing. The proposed initiative will be to strengthen innovation ecosystem through government-private sector collaboration, improve local startups funding through credit and government grants, and of course, increase patronage of local content that's made in Edo solutions. Yes, in the short term, there is need to review procurement frameworks, to allow all local solutions provider begin to, sell to government, begin to provide service to government. So government must also now begin to start enlisting, local solutions providers that operate business out of Edo State indigenous who are doing business in Edo, as well as, others who have come to do things in Edo, to begin to, be vendors to Edo State after due diligence. Of course, they need to set up a mechanism that allows local startups to access investors locally and other development finance institutions such as the Bank of Industry, Bank of Agriculture, and the other multinationals that are playing in the country. And of course, there is need on the short term to create an enabling environment for indigenous digital startups and businesses in the state to thrive. What are we looking at in the long term? There is need to set up innovation research and entrepreneurial research agency. Again, this will strengthen that proposed initiative. So people from the academia, from the business community, from the entrepreneurial space, original equipment manufacturers, you could bring all of them to form that agency or a hub where, research and entrepreneurial, innovation in research, is given a drive. So people will just come, they will spend like the same way you can integrate this to the innovation hubs. So the people come and they go through their ideas, they have it just like you have something like this in NIDA, where your solution, goes through a due diligence and they help you, to put in place the things that it must fulfill. They help you to see all the existing regulations, the standardization process that your solutions have to go through, security, approvals and all of those things, so that they become beneficial to society. Of course, there is need to attract foreign direct investment to local startup ecosystem, partnership with venture capitalists and angel investors, standardization of indigenous products in Edo State so that patronage can be increased. What do we need? A domestication of the Nigerian Local Content Act in Edo State, a guideline on entrepreneurial research and upskilling, then legislation to support the use of made in Edo products and services. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll quickly move to what we had in e-government. So in terms of e-government, we began by, saying, how do we even conceptualize e-government? So we began by saying, the first thing to do is to develop, right? After you develop the idea and all of that about what we want to do with government in terms of digital transformation, then let us consult, which was what we did. After consultation, we want to revise. And this is part of what we are doing now. We've revised in-house, we're still revising. Then we are, sharing some of the initial highlights with you. Then after that, you give us your feedback, and the document, goes to executive, to the executive or to the executive council for review and for a predetermined period. If it is good to go, it is launched. So it's a very smooth model for conceptualizing e-government. When we talk about e-government, what should be the basic thrust, the lift, the springboard? First, e-government is based on reinventing government, which is really what we call digital transformation or modernization of the public sector. Then they need to deliver integrated services, right? So you call them electronic services. So you hear Mrs. Yuana say, government, has fixed September 1st as cut-off day. So there's not going to be paper approval anymore. There's not going to be, the permanent secretary travel, the commissioner is not in town, so your solution was not, your application was not treated. Wherever he is, from a secured connection, he can begin to approve all the documents that are on his table. After approving, they move over to Mr. Kevin's office, who has one or two things to do. After approval, it goes to the next office digitally, so we can begin to trace. All right, using ICT to build new capabilities, it is also critical trust, for e-government. And of course, lastly, innovating with digital technology. So from all the conversation we had, there are three broad pillars which Edo State e-government stands. stands for. And if you see what I have here, the first one is improve processes, which is e-administration. And this is really about government delivering its services, whether government to government, interministerial, departmental, and agency, collaboration. So, they can all connect. And the good thing is that they do all 72 ministries, department, and agencies in Edo State have not been connected to the EduGov, hub or platform, as the case may be. So that side of the equation is solved. The second part is external interactions, e-society, right? E-society is how does government relate with society? And this is not citizens as the case may be. We're talking about the larger society, monitoring of crimes, supporting business, allowing business to interact with government, digital transformation of, what you call smart city project, fiber optics rollout, and all of those. Then the third part is now connected citizens, or what you call e-citizens and services. So people have one card, for instance, we talk about the taxation card. People can relate with government. Government can begin to disburse government to people payment electronically without having to say, everybody can have a bank account or a wallet, electronic wallet where government will just send the money straight. So if government is transparent and is sincere, then one shot, you can just order a payment advice, you approve a payment advice, and everybody receives payment. You can track what has gone wrong. People, again, can also get feedback to government and say, government, you have not done this. You promised you were going to do this. This road that was commissioned, they only commissioned the first, 100 kilometers of the road or 10 kilometers of the road. Sorry, I mean 100 meters, not kilometers. The other part, the contractor has about. So people can give feedback to government. All right. So if we are to roll out those key pillars, the initiatives across those key pillars, what are we anticipating that will come out of, of the e-government? First is that customers, will be delighted. And when we say customers, businesses, everybody who does business with government, whether it is supply, whether it is form of, service that is provided to government, they will be satisfied. There is convenience and there is ease of use. Of course, boundaries are now eliminated. Then privacy is guaranteed because government protects people. You don't necessarily have to see the person before you can say, oh, sometimes when you go to government office, I remember when I was in school then, I don't like this person, they will hold your file, come back tomorrow, and you keep looking. So, people's privacy are protected and all of that, except, there is need for government to probe into that. And of course, from a citizenship point of view, there is support for active participation. People can engage government one-on-one, right? There is a state we are doing this support for that has, there's a program they call it where people can easily send like iReport. They give government feedback real time, and the governor has access to that database. So on an evening, the governor can just sit, or the PS can just see and say, what are the issues that are concerning the Ministry of Digital Economy, Science and Technology? And they look at it, you can profile and say, okay, these are the priorities. This is what people are saying. We can build our communities. We can engage stakeholders, begin to see citizens as stakeholders. Because really, they are not just people. Citizens are part of the government. They enable the government. They put the government in place. So we must see them as stakeholders that are helping us to create value. And this can also engender trust and confidence in government. Networked government, is also a critical aspect of, that anticipated outcome. So you have many agencies, one government, just like we said, the EduGov platform. Everybody is connected. Government becomes agile, becomes effective, becomes nimble, becomes efficient. So the government needs to change something. We are not looking at trying to digitize 100 million files or 100,000 files. They are already digitized already. Their government is also secure and is responsive real time. So we can track, we are accountable, we can know where there is a fault. Who has not approved this? We can go back and trace, for instance, say, this file has remained in this office, this is the person responsible. It becomes a KPI, because after 3 days that he was supposed to treat the file, he didn't treat the file, then there is a flag there already. Okay, so these are some of the anticipated outcomes. If we are to implement those core pillars of e-government, so just to take your mind back again, this improved process, that's e-administration, e-society, and e-citizens and e-services. If we are to implement them, we need leadership and commitment from the government. So government must, as a matter of urgency, put a steering committee, in place to help drive this process. And this is a public-private, committee, that has to now report to government. These are the things we are doing and all of that. So in this action plan, We've also defined, about 7 strategic priorities that were distinct from those 3 that will be shared in the larger report, right? Access to public and sector agencies, directors, operational, and expert input. So, of course, this is very critical. So what we are referring to here is that leadership and commitment is critical to achieving an e-government. There is a need for multi-source input, which is what we are doing, we've been doing in Edo State. And thanks to the Edo State government for all their support. There has to be feedback from internal stakeholders, and also feedback from external stakeholders, which is why you are here. There has to be feedback from business communities. There has to be, a feedback on best practices. What should Edo State be doing? What should Edo State not do? What has this other state done that didn't work well? If Edo State does it, Edo State might fail. And of course, a collaborative effort. So there is government commitment from the one side, and there is stakeholder, wider stakeholder consultation and collaboration on the other side. And of course, it doesn't stop there. There is also the will to implement and monitor over time. So ladies and gentlemen, because I'm running, let's go to digital jobs. So when we started, that for those states, having put an e-government plan and strategy in place, and it's beginning to implement some of the initiatives, right, and under each of the strategic priorities, Edo State can actually create up to 1 million jobs in the next 5 years across 5 key pillars. Well, the first one is called information technology outsourcing or business outsourcing. And then there's digital media, or what you might call creative media. Then, of course, there is e-commerce, there is startup innovation, and there is smart manufacturing. So these are the 5 key archetypes we explored when we came to Edo State. On the overall, there are jobs everywhere. So if you look at IT or BPO outsourcing, we define critical types of jobs that Edo State can create. Jobs like cybersecurity specialists, data analysts, data scientists, product managers, product designers, and a whole lot of them. Digital, yes, of course. What you call artificial intelligence expert, blockchain expert, then of course digital forensic, expert. All of them, they are in this area. So a lot can happen. So there are over 30 job types that we identified under this area that can give us up to, as a matter of fact, 500,000 jobs in the space of 5 years. And the whole essence here is that Edo State has to begin, as we mapped out, which we also reflect in the wider report. Edo State has to begin to look at the ecosystem and say, where are these jobs needed? With the evolution of ICT and how technology has gone into government, where do we find this job? Or what are the new jobs that are being created, consequence of demand that is generated by technology in business, in government, and in society? So who needs this job? What is the quality of job or quality of talent they need? Is it basic? Is it intermediate? Is it expert knowledge? And begin to say, okay, are these jobs alone going to be in the state? Are we going to be, what is needed in Nigeria across board? Where does the deficit lie? Where can we begin to export? So they start building talent, and this is one of the things that they are doing. They do jobs and they do innovate, and all of those are doing already. So, but we can do more to begin so that we can create up to these 500,000 jobs. So once we identify where the priority lies, what type of jobs are needed, what levels of skills are required, then we start building that capacity up to a world-class level. And of course, we can start exporting digital talent in that area. Of course, digital or creative media, entertainment, for instance, all the things you go on YouTube, you go on, Instagram, you go on, what is it called, Snapchat, or what is it called, streaming platform, and begin to see, so what are the critical types of jobs that are needed? Digital content creators, animators, and graphics, designers, 3D animations, expert, cinematographers, choreographers, all of these that create content, even intellectual content writer, bloggers, right? Vloggers, all of them. These are the various types of jobs that we identify in this research to say Edo State can actually activate up to 100,000 jobs, in this place. Then, of course, e-commerce. Now, when we look at e-commerce, up to 160,000 jobs can come from e-commerce. And what are we trying to say here? That there is a talent, there is an infrastructure deficit, really, that has plagued Edo State. So Roads are critical and it's just everywhere. So the other day, Mr. Governor was complaining on TV that he wanted to fix some roads, national roads, and the federal government said you can't fix them. That is impacting the ease of doing business. So once all those infrastructure come in place, people can start enlisting, people can start creating jobs. So a typical case happened in the year of COVID, where people couldn't sell their perishables and somebody was just taking a snap, and posting them online. And people say, you know what, I want to buy this, I want to buy this. And dispatch riders, we're already, on ground delivery. So in transport, in terms of e-commerce, you have the transport sector that is integrated, your industry that is integrated to e-commerce. So there's going to be logistics and supply chain, jobs, right? Inventory management, right? Warehouses, people that are going to customer service, support, virtual assistant are all there. Ticketing, account payables, account receivables, all of these, are embedded within the e-commerce space. Of course, there is those who are going to build the platform, the front-end developers, the user experience, user interface designers, a whole lot, of jobs that can be created from this space. Of course, the big one, startup innovation. Although the numbers seem to be very slow, but it is projected that this number is likely to grow up to 3 times, in the next 5 years. Why is this so? Because innovation is critical to entrepreneurial, growth. So if government begins to pay attention to this innovation space, then we can activate more jobs. You are now going to see what we call new businesses springing up and employing more people. So in essence, you are not just creating new businesses that generate more income, but you're also creating employment opportunities. So 2 things in one: you're creating new businesses, you are creating more employment. And of course, the indirect benefits are so significant. Quickly, we move to smart manufacturing. And smart manufacturing, I think the case example here is digital agriculture. Smart manufacturing has not really taken place well in Nigeria, but it is projected that with Edo State abundance in terms of natural resources, for instance, oil palm, we can begin to bring technology to play and see how we can optimize the process. Edo State also is a very, very huge producer of cassava, and there is a lot that can be gotten from there. So one of the key problems that was identified here is the fact that there is too much waste in the agri-value chain, in agri-value chain. So to minimize that waste, we need to bring in, technology. So one of the key arguments is that once you bring technology, people will be out of business. I say, no, you begin what you now need to do is to expand your capacity to produce and put these people on low-end jobs. Those that you can skill, you skill them up. So you are going to build capacity in the area of data analysis, soil profiling, soil forensic, quality control, quality assurance, Lean Six Sigma technology. So you can see critical areas where you can begin to build process efficiency and innovate product and service efficiency in smart manufacturing. So ladies and gentlemen, these are the key archetypes areas where Edo State, is hope to create up to 1 million jobs in the next 5 years. Okay. To create these jobs, right, Edo State now need to attract investment to strengthen, these core pillars. The key pillars are, of course, market environment, labor force, legal and regulatory framework, then enabling factors. Key questions we want to ask: is the market attractive enough? If it is not, we need to now bring in regulation, right, to make the market attractive. Ease of doing business, which I said Mr. Kevin might speak to in the course of this discussion. What are the industry clusters that exist in Edo State? Are they enough? Do people have to travel up to 6 hours before they can get to a cluster? So we can begin to have agri-cluster. We can begin to have, apart from agri, manufacturing cluster. We can begin to have, tech cluster. So every cluster is focused on a specialized area of service or product, delivery. Then the labor force. Do we have the labor force to drive these jobs? What is the quality of the labor force? How much does it cost to create or to develop a talent? We have to map this out. Then the next thing you are moving to is that what is the fiscal and financial incentives for new businesses that are coming up? Do we have tax relief or tax incentives for them? Are the licensing regimes too much that people have to pay multiple licensing fees just to get their business running? What can we do to reduce that regulatory burden, right? And of course, the rules and stability, rule stability and cybersecurity. For digital businesses, what do we have in place to safeguard? So there are national critical infrastructure. There are also national policies, for instance, on cybersecurity, broadband, and all of that. How have we domesticated this? Are there lessons we can learn, or do we need to build state specific ones? So we have to answer those questions. Of course, enabling a factor. So one of the things that came up is broadband. We cannot create these digital jobs without broadband penetration. So broadband is very critical, which means that the state government has to intensify its rollout of broadband penetration, or broadband fiber optic, moving from the more rural urban area to the less urban, or what you call peri or semi-urban, to even rural communities by connecting. First, one of the things that was identified that let all local governments be connected. Okay, so once you have broadband across all local government, it becomes a hub, for that particular local government and all the. So from there we start, rolling out to the major towns in each of the local government, and then you are also setting up businesses within those local government, areas. Communities across. Of course, then there is need to communicate and advocate, promote. So most of the things that the state government has done, and which we also highlight in the report, is the fact that government has done a lot, but people do not know. So how do we make people to know that these things exist in government, and by so doing, they come into government, and they begin to tap into the possibilities that government has, brought to bear. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are 4 areas that we need to strengthen so that those jobs, can come alive. And I think I've also spoken to them here, to those 4 areas. And so if you look at every sector, that every archetype, if you look at business outsourcing, you have market, you have labor, you have legal regulatory framework, and you have enabling factors, which are all highlighted. Can the digital jobs ecosystem really get support? Yes. For labor force, for regulatory framework, and for enabling factors, which is actually infrastructure and investment promotion. These are some of the ways that support can be: skill incubator and accelerator programs, policy technical assistance, which is part of the thing we are doing, rollout of infrastructure, whether it's hard or soft infrastructure, then investment promotion. Again, thanks to the Edo State government that has the Edo State Investment, Edo State Investment Promotion Office. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are key highlights that we got from the stakeholder digital economy series that we did in terms of creating a digital economy, a strategy, action plan for e-government, and action plan for the creation of jobs. Thank you so much. I try to beat time because it's a lot to actually digest. And yes, I think we want to defer questions so that we'll take all of them after the moderated panel session. I don't know, Shola, you are the boss here. What should we do? Should we do this question first, or we should move them to combine them with the panel? Because the panelists are actually going to speak to some of these issues, so some of your questions might be answered there. I think we should go there, but let me hear from Shola. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. And once more, thank you for staying true. Hi,
yes,
Shola.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everyone. I'm sure everyone who has met Emmanuel before knows he's one to talk, and I'm sure you're probably used to his normal. This is his MO. If you give him leeway, he will continue and will be here to dawn of dusk of today. But as Emmanuel has said, if you have questions, so that we don't delay the events, the progression of the event, please, there's a button at the bottom of your Zoom. It says Q&A. You can just drop your questions there so that we can address them at the end when it's time for the panels, after the panel session. So just to speak to that, I think we should have, if you have questions on Emmanuel's conversation or presentation, please drop them on the chat box. Thank you very much. Emmanuel, back to you, so we can, back to you.
Okay, all right, thank you, Shola. So I think I can stop sharing my screen. So ladies and gentlemen, we're going straight to the panel session, and my job really is just to introduce the, my job is to introduce the panelist, the moderator, and after that, he will do his job himself by introducing his panelist. If you don't mind, let me quickly do that. Okay. Sorry, guys. All right. Okay, so let me welcome on board the Mr. Basil Aikebeli. I hope I got that name correctly. Okay, so I'll just do a brief introduction of Mr. Basil, and he will do the rest of the introduction himself. He will introduce his audience, his panelists. All right, so I think we can go on. Sorry. Shola, please, can you share? Okay, oh, I'm almost there. Sorry, yeah, I think I'm there. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Basil, a very young and talented individual. Mr. Basil is the CTO and co-founder of Midtown Technology Hub, an innovation hub in Benin City, which you will hear from him later. He's a distinguished instructor in the tech industry. So like me, Mr. Basil is a teacher and he loves talking too. With a profound passion for technology and relentless drive for innovation, he has carved out a remarkable career for himself across different domains within the tech and entrepreneurial space. As the Chief Technology Officer and co-founder of Midtown Hubs, Basil plays a significant role in shaping the company's strategic direction and spearheading cutting-edge technology initiatives. He has passion for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education for kids. So Patrick, Basil is going to be leading us this afternoon by introducing the topic for today's discussion and his panelists. Then at the end of his session, he will also lead the Q&A before we bring today's session to a close. Mr. Basil, the floor is yours. Please, you can help me give him a digital clap as he takes stage.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Emmanuel, and thank you, Shola, for this opportunity. It's really been a great time since last year. We've been on this road trying to carve out a digital policy for Edo State, which we all know that this is going to be like a new opening for all the stakeholders, everybody involved in Edo State. And so joining me on the panel, the topic we are going to be looking at today at the panel for the panel discussion is building an inclusive state digital economy, overcoming implementation hurdles, and consolidating wins.
So Basil, can we see your face, please?
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I think you have to give me permission for that.
Yeah, Mrs. It seems his video can't be.
Okay, so it's
okay, yeah.
So it's
yes,
up now. Okay.
Yes.
So like I said before, the topic is building an inclusive state digital economy, overcoming implementation hurdles, and consolidating wins. The government of Edo State is working to create a one-stop technology shop that will allow both the public and commercial sectors, as well as the corporate society organizations and MSMEs to operate there. To make sure that the state digital laws and norms are followed, the Edo State government has developed several digital plans for the ecosystem, which include the rights of way policy, the smart city state policy, and the digital framework for technology and strategy. And only a few of them that the stakeholders have mentioned. Although the government has made quick progress implementing all these policies in Edo State, stakeholders are unaware of the digital economy strategy. Like we also noticed during the deliberations in our subsequent meetings, even people within the government are not even aware of the policies and not to talk of the private individuals. As a result, the government must step up its efforts to create an all-round inclusive digital economy implementation in the states. To achieve an inclusive digital economy, all stakeholders need to be aware of the implementation of state policies, guiding digital transformation through effective communication and involvement of relevant stakeholders. Through a well-articulated information communication technology vision of developing and growing a globally competitive digital economy by information, communication, and technologies for the benefit of Edo citizens by 2025, tagged Make Edo Great Again. The state continues to build a one-stop technology shop that enables inter-MDAs, government to government, government to business, business to government, government to people, and people to government interactions, backed by several digital economy-related policies and guidelines relevant to the implementation of a digital economy in Edo State. So with me today in the panel session is Mrs. Edugie Agbonlao. Mrs. Agbonlao is the Managing Director of Edo State Transport Authority. Since assuming the leadership of the state-owned transportation outfit, Ms. Agbonlao has made significant reforms that have repositioned the agency. She constituted the Transport Working Group made of representatives of all internal transport stakeholders to drive the transformation reforms required to reposition the transport sector to play its key role of driving socio-economic development in the state. She is implementing a comprehensive master plan for the states with pace setting and pathfinding transport initiatives and solutions that will indeed make Edo great again. And also with me in the panel is Mr. Kevin Waibi. Mr. Waibi is the Managing Director of the Edo State Investment Promotion Office, ESIPO, and sits on the National Committee on the Zero Oil Plan Agenda and State Representative at the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission and Nigerian Export Promotion Council, respectively. His interests are in micro, small, and medium enterprises growth, promotion of domestic investments, and foreign direct investment financing. Mr. Kevin is also an alumnus of Harvard Kennedy Executive Program. He has a master's in humanities from Leicester University, United Kingdom, and also trained at the Institute of Commonwealth Studies, certified by the Institute of Leadership and Management, United Kingdom, endorsed by Deloitte and Accenture. And also with me is Mr. Ekpen Isoken Odenwige. Described as a young African dreamer, Mr. Ekpen has a background in the economics and has worked hard to deploy solutions to the challenges we face as a people to build the African of our dreams. In 2017, he served as the team lead and consultant for the setup of the University of Benin Microfinance Bank Limited. He is a chartered economist, a member Nigerian Institute of Management, a member Chartered Institute of Bankers of Nigeria, Chartered Procurement and Supply Manager, member Chartered Institute of Risk Management of Nigeria. Ekpen is very passionate about people and has empowered over 4,000 people through capacity building across various platforms. He is also an executive member of the Benin Chamber of Commerce, Industries, Mines, and Agriculture, BENCIMA. And last on the list of my panelists today is Mr. Ogene Maro Monade. Maro is a data-driven professional with a strong desire to leverage data-centric IT management to have a positive societal effect across industries while developing the finest solutions. Realizing the complexity of data, Maro began his journey into digital upskilling of young Nigerians in Power BI and has delivered more than 15 dashboards, having worked with 2 firms. He holds a bachelor's degree from the University of Benin and is a certified data scientist from Curitos University with a focus on Power BI. He has demonstrated knowledge of data science, principles of Power BI, Azure Data Services, and AWS Cloud Services and data science. Okay, so looking at digital economy in the context of Edo State, this section is for you, Mr. Kevin. Mr. Kevin Waibi, this section is for you. Edo State has made significant gains in its Make Edo Great Again efforts at positioning the state as a digital first state. many believe that there's a correlation between digital investments and the market enabling environment, given the fact that technology is a business enabler. Okay, hope Mr. Kevin is with us. Okay, is here with us.
I'm with you, Basil, and good afternoon all on the call.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. So my first question goes to you, Mr. Kevin. What are some landmark digital transformation efforts of the Edo State governments which are critical to the mega agenda of the current administration?
Okay, thank you, Basil. For us, again, good afternoon all on the call, the panelists and audience attending this particular section. For us in Edo State, when you look at the different infrastructures we have put in place, digitalization of the economy and of the state is of priority to this the present administration. So first and foremost, what we had done initially when we came on board was to look at provision of internet, that's broadband, expanding the broadband infrastructure. At that time, we got about $20 million, which was in partnership with Main One, which is called Aquinas today. And we had taken within Edo State itself, Benin City Metropolis had done 400 kilometers of fiber, internet connectivity. And that was also done in collaboration with Facebook. Moving from there on, about 2 years later, we are expanding the fiber to 2,000 kilometers. And this is also working with a private investor. And one of what has happened is that we are about 98% completed in terms of expanding fiber optics to the 18 local government areas in the state. What that has done for us also is to ensure that even in the local government, they can be able to access technology, the internet. And in doing that also, we had come up with the fiber policy, what we call right of way. We are among the only states at the moment where you really don't need to, I don't want to say it is free, but we go into negotiations to ensure that the investors that are coming to lay these fibers are also doing justice in terms of giving certain services to the citizens in place for the right of way. That's what we have done. We are part of those at the national level, also pursuing that right of way should not be more than 145 naira. As it goes. So for us, this is very important. I heard most of my colleagues on the call. It's important we give critical priority when it comes to infrastructure. So that's why we have done what we have done. Something else we have done also is provision of digital hubs. Now, while we have government digital hubs, it would be interesting to know that we are having private digital hubs springing every other time in Edo State. The reason is because we are creating that enabling environment for young people. We believe that Edo State, that it's a population of very young people. So we are seeing a situation where we want to be able to export this talent. I heard my colleagues saying and talking about Vitor Osimhen. Yes, we want to do that with technology also. So we're creating these digital hubs to ensure that that happens. Another thing you talk about when you're talking about technology, the peers you announced mentioned this earlier on. I'm talking about cybersecurity. So we are building infrastructure around cybersecurity. So we are trying to make sure that our data is very secure. So Edo State presently, as we're speaking, we have a tier 3 data center. At the same time, we have a tier 4, which is for backup. The reason for all of this is to ensure that Edo people's data is very secured, and the businesses that are going to come in, their data are also secured. A lot have been spoken about when it comes about digital infrastructure in terms of internally. We've spoke about, and Emmanuel also spoke about the eGov, which we are very much. So for us, really, the infrastructures are coming up. What we are looking at now is sustainability, ensuring that this infrastructure, you can continually have them, work for the citizens. So this is very important for us as a government. Also, provision of infrastructure. We are giving flexibility now. We have provided over 3,000 laptops before now for Edo workers. But what we have just done, that's in the last 48 hours, is to also say, if you have your own laptops now, you can actually connect as a staff of Edo State government. You can actually connect to the eGov platform. Before now, we're not doing this because of security, but we have been able to take our security to a certain level now that even if you put your laptops on the system, you will not be a security risk. Let me put it that way. I think I want to stop there. Thank you.
Okay. So my next question would be, how would you assess the contribution to the economic growth of Edo State? Like, how would you assess their contributions to the economic growth of Edo State? So all these things that you've mentioned, how would you assess their contribution to the growth of economic growth of Edo State?
Thank you, Basil. I can tell you that Edo State before now is going. One of the things that investors, when they want to come into any place, any location, they look at for is your technology infrastructure. They want to know that you can meet that. They want to also know that you have the capacity and manpower. We are attracting a lot of fintechs. Technology costs across several, from entertainment to health to education and all of that. Yes, it is creating that robust economy as a result of all of this technology infrastructure. And again, understand that we have right now, we're partnering with some investors and coming up with a technological hub. What they have just been saying right now, the innovation hub and all of that, but we have a grand plan of coming up with a technological hub where you're going to have, you can call it that Edo State wants to pair itself with Silicon Valley. And the conversations have been very, very fruitful, I can tell you. And the investors have alluded to it that we have a lot of talents in Edo State. I don't want to even as a priority say, if you look at the fintech space in the country today, indigenous of Edo are the ones that are the forefront. So we are also leveraging on that to say, you know what, you're doing this outside Edo State, you're doing this in the diaspora, come and do it in Edo State. And we have been having very positive feedback from them. So yes, we want to be able to use Edo State as that technological hub where you can actually come in and boost the economy. And for to diversify the Nigeria economy right now, this is the way to go. Technology is the way to go. And Edo State, we are at the forefront of that. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Kevin YB. And obviously, Edo State is always coming first in anything digital in Nigeria. So thank you very much for your contribution to the government of Edo State. The second topic section we are going to look at now is government to people business services. And Mrs. Edugi Agbolawi will be answering some questions on this part. Part of government responsibility to citizens is rollout of public initiative that impacts people positively and help citizens connect with government. So my first question will be that, what is the relationship between the transportation sector and the digital economy of Edo State?
Good afternoon, PS, the panelists, and every other person on this call. I hope everybody can hear me. Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah. So thank you so much for the opportunity. We're all aware that transportation impacts on all sectors of the economy because our access to our workplace, our health centers, our schools, and everywhere of interest to every citizen of Edo State. And that's why transportation is looked at as a key driver of social economic development of any nation or state. So to play this vital role, we have commenced the development of a comprehensive transport master plan. And the whole essence is to make mobility seamless for Edo people. And we know the importance of the digital economy. That is to ensure, give speed to data gathering that is necessary for effective planning. With your digital platform, you can have the automated payment system. So the transportation system can be integrated on all modes of transportation, just like you have in advanced countries where your Oyster card can take you on any of the modes of transportation. So we look at that as platforms that can enhance transportation. So the essence of the digital economy is to make our transportation systems, infrastructure, processes seamless, efficient, and more effective. I think that is the relationship between the transport sector and the digital economy.
Okay. Whatever you say, I will agree with you, because in Edo State here, long ago, we had the payments with the comrade buses long ago. We are using prepaid cards as means of payments, even before the cashless policy came on board. So like I said, Edo State government has always been first when it comes to adopting digital technology. So my second question would be, what critical digital transformation reforms have taken place in the transportation sector of the economy, and how have these reforms benefited both the private and public sector?
Okay, like I explained, we are working on a comprehensive transport master plan. And amongst the objectives of the comprehensive transport master plan is to come up with solutions and initiatives that will consider emerging mobility trends and technologies, so that we can see that which can be integrated into our systems. For example, the intelligent transportation system is something that is required for our public transportation, where the modules can provide passenger information system, the modules can provide the scheduling of buses, and also ensure that the automated payment system becomes more effective and seamless for the people. And for this comprehensive transport master plan, we'll also be looking at how we can automate our vehicle inspection centers. I would like to quickly say that actually for the intelligent transportation system, we have actually concluded the engagement of a consultant to drive that process. And we are just waiting for the buses that are being procured for Edo City Transport Service to come on board, so that they will become our pilot scheme. And once we are successful with the regulated sector, we can go into the informal sector and ensure that they all also come on board to be regulated by to come on board and be part of the payment system also. To enhance this, actually, we have started the regulation of the informal sector, and we have created a transport data bank that has all intra-city transport operators and their vehicle owners. The essence of this is that every vehicle has a security code number that is unique to the driver, unique to the vehicle. And we are hoping that with the intelligent transport systems coming on board, we'll be able to integrate this security code, which is digitalized, and have a payment system that can now go, that will now integrate the informal sector into our payment system. So that whether you are riding on the public buses owned by state government or the normal commercial buses, you can have same mode of payment, which will be on a digital platform. We also, and to say that also, this digital platform of profiling and registering the drivers has also provided a security measure, which our citizens have greatly appreciated, because it has increased their trust in the buses that have our vehicle stickers. Because with the vehicle stickers, once you scan it, You can tell who the driver of the bus is and who is the owner of the bus. So that reduces the crime. That is aimed at reducing the crime rate in Edo State. But because for transportation to be efficient, it must be secure and must be safe for the citizens. So the essence of introducing that security code number was to enhance the security and the safety of our commuters. And once this can be integrated with the ITS system, it also means that it now becomes more definite on our security, the security measures we are taking while commuting our passengers. We're also looking forward to that platform also being the tax forum or platform for our drivers, because right now you cannot trace their collections or their payment to individual drivers. But we hope that with the ITS and the security code number, all this will be taken care of. And it will also now enhance government intervention in that sector. So if, for example, we want to reform the transport sector and bring in buses on PPP, we can easily identify the major players and bring them on board. Or in formalizing the informal sectors into cooperatives, this platform will also prepare them for that. So the whole essence is to ensure that we are able to ensure that the transportation services offered in Edo State, they are safe, they are secure, and they are reliable. We're also looking into the automation of our vehicle inspection process, so that the roadworthiness certificates that will be given will actually now be based on automated processes. And we expect that infrastructure to bring some form of sanity to the transport sector in Edo State. I think those are the major reforms presently we have been able to carry out in the system.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sagbolao. It's good to know that our amiable governor and your office are actually making good plans to actually move Edo State into the digital space, including by using our transportation services. And we know very well that this will actually help our states move our state forward in adopting the digital policy. Thank you very much once again. And next on my panel is Mr. Ipenodewige, and we'll be looking at partnerships and growth. Nigeria's payment landscape has been growing. With the fintech wave, many innovation payment solutions have greeted the market with remarkable successes, especially with this of the cashless policies. A lot of POS companies have come on board, and everything is moving fast. However, there's hardly any business that can deliver value end-to-end without adopting an ecosystem thinking approach, where the value chain is optimized with every actor playing in its area of core competence while leveraging the assets, resources, and capabilities of other value chain actors. So my question would be, has the state government fared in managing stakeholders' interests with regards its rollout of its various digital economy initiatives?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Basil. Good morning, everyone. It's still in the morning. Yes, I would say that the state government has done fairly well with their digital reforms and the initiatives. As far as stakeholder engagement, I feel like there's a lot more that can be done in that area, because as noble as these initiatives are, it needs, like Mr. Emmanuel said, it needs people to buy in and key into it for it to even serve its purpose, or even for it to be as effective and as robust as it's intended to. To be honest, the reforms in the area of education, for instance, the EduBest program with the harmonized curriculum and the tablets, yeah, the state government have been able to manage the education sector, especially the public sector, given that they are the ones that are in virtually total control. But also getting the private schools to come on board and embrace this system has been quite a challenge. We also look at the payment services as well. They have done well with setting up the Oracle. They have done well with trying to funnel all government payments inwards and outward through the same channel to reduce revenue losses. I think recently they got a contract with QuickTeller to try and have vendor shops around ministries, agencies, and the High Court to try and see how we can reduce loss of revenue and funnel this payment through a single channel. Same as with the driver's license renewal and all these other processes. They have been very laudable projects, right? But the awareness, the carrying the people along. I'll give an example. I was having a conversation with some of my constituents in my local government because I also am politically exposed. And imagine somebody was complaining that they have they are just digging hole around their streets. They are digging hole everywhere. There's no what Obaseki is doing. I'm like, okay, that's which hole? Show me like that's internet. That's like broadband. These are the benefits that could accrue with you having broadband available to you. It's going to be cheaper. They were like, The point is they have been doing this digging and this laying of these fiber optic cables for months, and a lot of the people are not even aware of the essence of it or the impact that the initiative tends to have. So a lot of times I feel like, yes, the initiatives are amazing. Yes, they have been deployed, but we need sufficient engagement of the population for them to even understand first before they key in. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much, Mr. Ipen. I'll tell you that as someone from the private sector, when we started this engagement stuff of carving out the digital policy for those states, I actually felt like I am now part of the state. I got to know lots of things happening in the state. So I actually carrying stakeholders along is actually a way forward in any digital economy. And I think this is the right path that we are doing. So definitely when we have this policy in place, we are going to make Edo great again. So my next question would be, what are the current challenges to private stakeholders' participation in Edo State's digital transformation? What are current challenges to private stakeholders' participation in Edo State digital transformation efforts? And what could be done to improve the maximum experience?
Okay, so quite honestly, I think Edo State has taken steps in the right direction. This engagement in terms of the policy formulation has been a very excellent approach to achieving our dreams and our goals. Off the top of my head, I can tell you for free that a lot of things were, like you mentioned, was brought into our purview when we were involved and engaged properly in the formulation of this policy. And we, on our own, I can speak for the Benin Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines, and Agriculture as an executive council member, where we have a membership of close to 4,000 MSMEs in Edo. And we can also carry this message back to our constituents and our people and let them know that, okay, this is what the government is doing, or this is the progress we are making, or this is how we are hoping to revolutionize citizen to government engagement, right? So we need constant communication. We need probably a campaign, as a serious campaign with a proper brand, trying to put this ego in the faces of people. We need billboards, we need TV programs, we need people to appear man around town, we need interviews, we need promoted content in social media. Enough is not being done on creating the awareness about all the amazing things government has been doing over time. So I feel like there is so much opportunity, because when people tend to understand and like they're a part of it, like the government has brought us to be a part of this, they tend to take ownership of the idea. And when people take ownership of the idea, of an idea, it becomes very organic and it becomes very sustainable. You know, I'll give an example with the recent presidential election that we saw. You know, I'm sure one of the candidates had to spend a tenth of what many others did, because His own approach was more organic, and people bought into it and took ownership of the idea. So I think that citizen engagement, stakeholder engagement, awareness cannot be overemphasized in this project that we have before us. Then also funding and sustainability. I know that for free, technology isn't cheap, but if you look at the pros and cons, it increases productivity. So on the cost-benefit analysis scale, it makes sense to invest in technology. And I feel like government and financial institutions can also try and make grants and funds available to ensure that there's more players in that space. There's this much government can do, but with the collaboration of other private stakeholders, I think a lot more can be achieved. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Ekman. Okay, so from what you've said, it's actually very, very important that the state government actually wakes up the Ministry of Information, because there needs to be more stakeholders engagement, citizen engagement, to actually carry them along on the developmental plans of the states. Okay. So my next section will go to Mr. Ogenemaru Umunade, and we'll be looking at driving youth employment through innovative statewide digital transformation. Edo State has invested in building digital capacity of its workforce, notwithstanding there remains a significant proportion of youths that are either underemployed or unemployed across the state, especially people in the rural areas and other parts of Edo State. So my first question would be, what are the most compelling pillars of the digital economy that might help improve employment rates across the states?
Okay, when it comes to the unemployment rates as regards digital jobs, I think we have two core areas that we need to focus on. One is the digital literacy itself, and the other would be broadband or internet access, which the state is literally working towards. And to start with, the rural areas basically have not really been partaking in this, because most of the trainings are here in Benin City and a few other pockets of places. So if we can find ways, and one of the recommended ways is literally taking these trainings out of the urban areas to the rural areas. So if we can get mobile hubs, and mobile hubs would do the next is to build enough competence to start getting jobs from those skills. So internet access would also help these people who have learned these skills to also be able to practice these skills and also be able to get jobs out of these skills. So hopefully the broadband penetration to these localities would help. And it would also go a long way if the government office each local government having its own mini or mobile hub. That would go a long way to help boost the unemployment rate amongst these rural areas.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ogenemaru. I will agree with you that we have to have training centers, especially innovation hubs, across the 18 local governments of Edo State. And we also know that the state governments cannot do it. That's why we, the private sector, have to come on board to support the state governments in achieving this feat. So my next question would be, what are the critical initiatives that government must drive or improve upon to drive a youth-inclusive digital economy in Edo State?
Okay, one critical one, which we see is going on already, but I believe that, as I said earlier, we might need a bit of boost, would be obviously broadband. It's impossible to have exported talent without having sustainable and like solid broadband access for these guys. So equitable internet access is very, very necessary. So the collaboration with telecom providers to provide internet infrastructure, and not just internet infrastructure, affordable internet infrastructure. I think some parts of India, for example, have subsidized internet for specific spaces and specific places. These things would come in handy in those rural areas where people, first of all, most of them might not be able to even afford the broadband access in the first place. So a form of subsidy for them would come in very handy. Then also the funding so much is patient money. So you have a startup and you get funding, and you need to start making returns in as short time as possible, especially when you are raising dollars. So the money should be patient enough for these people to actually build and scale, especially in a setting like what we have here. And also, lastly, the promotion of STEM education and digital entrepreneurship training. So it's not just enough to train people in digital skills and probably data analytics and all of that, but digital entrepreneurship, to be able to use those digital skills within their environment and create solutions for their own environment is also important. So we have some level of skill even in the urban, the suburban areas like Auchi and Ekoma and Okada. But you don't really see so many people with digital entrepreneurship compared to what you have in Benin, for instance. So if we can also look at how we can get digital entrepreneurship, not just digital skills. So digital skills is one step, and I think we're already on a trajectory, on a stable trajectory for digital skills. But now we need to start looking at digital entrepreneurship for Edo State.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ogenemaru Umunade. So the next session, my next question will go to Mr. Kevin Waibi, and we'll be looking at implementation orders and consolidation. And we'll looking at the bullet points here: policy support, measurement and evaluation, ecosystem buy-in, sustainability. Implementation of state initiative has been a challenge across Nigeria, despite Edo State's concerted efforts in transforming the state's economy. Through the rollout of digitally driven initiatives, stakeholders' feedback shows that many e-government solutions and initiatives across Edo States have been infinitesimal in their performance. So my question would be, how can the Edo State government improve the state's ease of doing business? How can the Edo State government improve the state's ease of doing business ranking through the leverage of the critical pillars of the digital economy?
Thank you, Basil. Usually, any policy that you're going to bring to bear, the processes with the policy come in very critical and very important. Like what we are doing now, it's very important that at the point you are coming up with a policy, the stakeholder engagement, what you could call carrying everyone along is very important, because let me just go with what David just said. We're doing fiber optics around the state. If citizens are aware that we're doing fiber optics, they will not be scared. People are digging around where they are having all of this, and at the end of the day, they will even support and protect those fibers and ensuring that they are not being stolen or anything happens to it. So one of the critical ways is stakeholder engagement. We must, and again, there's what you call needs assessment. When we are looking at the digital space, what are those priority areas that the users, the citizens are asking or requesting that they need government's intervention? Very important. So you cannot do everything. You must be able to prioritize. So for us at the business level, I would tell you, discussing with businesses, discussing with investors, one of the things they have asked of us is we need you to create a channel where if we have issues, we can easily meet with government. And presently we are doing that. And we have been able to team it as the Edo State Business Inquiry and Management Portal. Hopefully what that portal would do is if you have a proposal that you want to send to government, you don't need to be running around and checking which agency you need to, or which ministry you need to send it to. With one portal, you can send it to the government and it will be designated to the required agency or ministry. Again, if you have issues, you mentioned the portal that one of the states where if you see something that is wrong, you can easily post it. Now, for the business side of it, the intention is to see that the businesses, if there's anything at all, let's say multiple taxation, as they always call it, someone comes to your office and is asking you for XYZ, and it's not a government official, you can easily put it in that portal, and the responsible official of government will follow up on your inquiry or your query. And that is exactly where we are heading to now in Edo State in terms of mitigating the issues where you say policies are not working or platforms are not working. We believe in citizen engagement. Something we are also doing very quickly is the business directory. One of the things that happen is that you must have what they call user experience. When you are going to put up any kind of application or portal, you would have had conversations with the intended users. And they would have told you also how they want it, what they want of it, and also testing your what we call assumptions. So if we're going to say, oh, as Edo State Investment Promotion Office, we want to put up a portal so that businesses can easily send their proposals, then that means that before we are doing that, we have discussed with the businesses, we have had stakeholder engagement, they have told us this is what they need. We would have also gone out to test it to see, oh, these assumptions we are making, can it be realistic? Let me put it that way. And this is very important as you roll out any kind of portal or technological application for the citizens, because that citizen interface is very important. So I'll give you some critical example talking about ease of doing business. For example, you want to get your C of O. Do you really need to go to the Edo State Geographical Information System, what we call Edo GIS? They are the ones responsible for issuance of certificate of occupancy. Can you not request for your certificate of occupancy right in your home? The answer is yes, you can. And that is presently being worked on as we speak. Same goes for payment of taxation, your personal income tax, your payee. We want to be able to leverage on all of this to see that our citizens, at the comfort of their homes, they can take some of these government services. Most especially now we are talking about increment in fuel and all of that. Technology can work some of these issues, making sure that the citizens spend less and get quality services. And that is exactly where we are heading to in Edo State. We love to hear from the citizens, and at the same time, we are listening to the citizens to know what are those things you want to see. Because at the end of the day, they're the end users. You can call them the customer at the end of the day. So it's not, we have got out of that situation where you find MDAs just taking up a project for the sake of, oh, they want to do something without a handshake with the users who are the citizens. So the way we do policies now is there are always stakeholder engagements and opportunities to listen to the end users and they guiding how we should come up or how they would want to see such, portals or environment work. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kevin. I agree with you that the e-government portal will go a long way in actually removing some restrictions and also improving ease of doing business. And I'll let you know that this is the generation that we are preparing for now, looking at the Gen Z. They are the kind of people that they don't want to leave their house for anything. They want to be able to do everything at the comfort of their homes. So the state government really needs to prepare for this generation of people. So, and in doing this, the unified portal will actually be an improvement to the current services we receive from the state government. Thank you very much once again. So my next question will go to Mrs. Agbolaho. So I want to ask, how is Edo State Transport Authority positioning itself to benefit from the new innovations brought by the digital economy? So these days we hear of the CCTV cameras, the e-transportation cards, vehicle licensing and tracking systems, cameras on the streets, people be able to know the kind of vehicles they are entering, maybe by just scanning something that they see on the dashboard. You spoke about security before, and coming to my mind, there was an incident that happened in Lagos State some months ago, where a girl entered the BRT, and before you know, she was found missing, and later her body was found. So my question would be that, is the state government really prepared? How are they really prepared to talking about transportation in Edo State? How are they prepared for these instances? Looking at CCTV, by using CCTV cameras, e-transportation card, and the electronic motor vehicle licensing. We also heard about, with the increment of fuel prices, some state governments have started considering deploying electric cars, having a car charging assembly plants in their states. So what is Edo State's what's Edo State government's plan? Are they prepared for this?
Yes, we are. Like you just said, I've spoken about the intelligent transport system. I know technology is not cheap. So we've had to go through the process of procurement of private investors that will be interested on the public PPP arrangement to be able to provide that service. With that ITS comes all that you have just spoken, the model of CCTV tracking devices, automated payment systems, scheduling of our buses, all of that comes under the ITS. So once the buses come on board, we'll be able to install that. And it's good to know that the terminals we are building, like Obakawai, the second phase is coming up now, and with it is coming up with the CCTV cameras. And it's intended that all the comprehensive transport master plan is going to drive the use of technology in all our transport infrastructures and systems. Because with the building of every infrastructure now, with the bus terminals, the CCTV will come, the automated payment systems will come on board. You can only do that where infrastructures are already in place. And so we are looking at all of that. Secondly, for the automated vehicle inspection centers, we've gotten approval from the state government. Lands have already been given to us for it, but we are doing it on a PPP platform. And so we have started the procurement process now. And anytime soon, by God's grace, we'll be able to start that. We are not only looking at Benin, that's why we started the transport working group. And it's made up of representatives from ESMA, so that every traffic management system has to now be technology driven from now. We also, with Edo City Transport Service is on that transport working group, so that we can liaise with them to ensure that the bus shelters that are built from now become smart bus shelters that our commuters can interact with and know when buses are expected to be at particular locations. So to save the loss of man hours and to improve our productivity, you can sit in your office and know when the CTS bus will be arriving and take your time, continue your job till 5 minutes to arrival time of the bus. So we are looking at all of that. That's why they are part of our transport working group. Then representatives from the 18 local government areas, because the development is not for the Benin City metropolis alone, but the same type of form of transformation should be going on in all our local government areas. And we have spoken with the chairman that our representatives must now form transport planning units in the different local governments that can work with ESTA to ensure that the same measure of development going on in the state capital is going on in their center. So from now, every project that is to be developed, technology will be a major defining factor in what we do in our space. And the digital platform we have already created for registration and profiling of our drivers, we tend to expand it to cover all transport operators, whether they are buses or the parks or even corporate organizations, to come on that platform so we can have a transport data bank that can drive planning and all interventions of government. So this is the way we are positioning ourselves as an authority. And from that digital platform, we have done this pilot scheme now. Every permit, which is in form of a sticker now, is digitalized. So we expect that from now, every regulatory instrument that ESTA will be issuing will be on digital platforms. And people can, the corporate organizations from the comfort of their offices can register their organizations, the number of buses they have, the number of drivers they have, because we need all of this when you are planning for transport infrastructure. And there's nothing that drives it better than automation of your process. So those are the electronic platforms we are looking at as an authority. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And we know that Edo State has always been at the forefront of transportation in Nigeria. Going back to the days of Edo Line and everything, Edo State has always been there to innovate. And we're really happy seeing that your office is actually doing this great to make Edo great again. So my last question will go to Ogenemaru Umunade. Please, you have to, this question, my question is, does data matter to government digital transformation efforts? Should government care, and what data infrastructure should be in place? Please, you can answer this in 1 minute.
Okay, yes, data does matter, because as Madam Abolan rightly mentioned, it's important to be able to use to track and make data-driven decisions. And data is a strategic asset in the modern day where we're moving into big data. So it's also a strategic asset, not just for decision making, but also to protect your own people. Their data is really important. And for infrastructure, we are currently at a phase where we have a tier 3 data center, a tier 4 data center. So data security and privacy is a lot more better. And going forward, we look at adoption of not just the public sector having their data on those data centers, but also people from the private sector and we hopefully would hit a place where every data for Edo citizens would be stored in Edo. And we might even get to a point where we have a local GDPR that guides the data for our own people due to ethical considerations. And PPP would come in very handy there.
Well, thank you very much, Maro. I have skipped the question for Mr. Ipen. I'll quickly go back to that before we round up. And the question is, what critical implementation hurdles should government address if its e-government solutions must deliver the anticipated benefits? So the points are citizen engagement, interoperability and system complementarity, security, privacy, traceability and trust, monitoring and evaluation, digital infrastructure and readiness and awareness.
Thank you so much, Mr. Basil. Quick one. So I think we have already discussed the part of for citizen engagement cannot be overemphasized. We need a robust campaign, both offline, online, billboard, hashtags, town criers, traditional institutions. We all need to get everybody to jump into this. And secondly, another challenge with government is interoperability, right? The way government operates sometimes is like they operate like they are not a team, like they are not trying to pursue the same objectives. I'll give a very simple example. So someone was saying, right here, you have your BVN, you have your NIN, you have your voter's card number, you have your this number, this is a unique identifying number. Why can't we just have one number that suffices across board? Why don't we have a unique format, something stable and balanced that just cuts across? So government needs to look at harmonizing a lot of its operations and making it very, very simple. Yes, Edo State has a high literacy rate, but the easier you make a process, the more easy it is for people to buy in. As well, we also need to look at our access. So there's ease of use, then there's access. People need to be able to have access to fast and cheap internet. That will ensure that the entry barrier into the market space is a lot less, and it's more handy. And we also look at the trust issue. You know, most times when you're filling out forms on the internet, you have to pray sometimes so that your information doesn't get stolen and the accounts hacked and all those kind of things. So yes, these are some critical areas we need to look at and put some effort into trying to ensure, because technology increases productivity no matter how you look at it. And I think that if you look at these areas, we can make significant progress in our intentions for e-governance. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Odemwigie. Thank you very much for your contributions. And it has actually been a great time listening to you guys, especially Mr. Kevin, with the prospects of being able to obtain the COO from the Unified Government Portal, the ease of doing business, and also the ITS from Mrs. Agbola. These are concrete strides that the state government actually make it to digitalize it. So it has actually been a great honor listening to you guys, and hopefully when we have this policy in place, we'll make Edo State great again. So I'll hand over the mic now back to Mr. Emmanuel to continue from here. Thank you very much for your time and all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, in fact, so I want to confess, I did not know that the Edo State Transport Authority has gone to Cloud9. I think we should give Mrs. Edugie a round of applause for the amazing work that they are doing. You will agree with me, Mr. Kevin, right? And that also contributes to the ease of doing business.
Going on, Emmanuel, in Edo, a lot of things.
Yes, Madam PS, I know. And this also speaks to the public awareness that we're talking about. A lot of persons will agree with me here that some of the things we are hearing here today are coming out for the first time to your ears. And as Ekman will say, we need to keep pushing public awareness. We need to amplify, use the billboard, use the radio, use the hand. People drag government a lot because they don't know what is happening. And I think as Edo has said, they are at the forefront of doing things, and we really want to commend them. Yeah, Shola is already giving a digital clap, to the government of Edo State. So thank you so much for staying put. We are well over time, but two things happen when you have sessions like this. Either you have wowed the audience and they don't even have questions for you, or you have not communicated. I have received something, right? And I believe that others have. So I've not seen any question in the question Q&A window. I've not also seen any in the chat comments. So my belief is that you have well communicated. So ladies and gentlemen, is there any other question? Please raise your hand if there is, so that you are part of this conversation. We'll quickly take those questions if there are. I don't still see any hand up. Let me see. Yes, no hand up. So in the absence of that, thank you so much to my panelists. Mr. Bassi, thank you for the amazing job. Mr. Maru, thank you. You've been with us. Mr. Ekman, thank you. Mrs. Edugie Agbonlaho, thank you so much. We are grateful for taking time from your busy schedule to be part of this conversation. And of course, Mr. Kelvin, your CV speaks volume of itself in terms of ease of doing business and the economic landscape. Also, we want to sincerely appreciate you for spending this morning into afternoon with us. Yes, so I cannot tell my panelists to take a bow, right? Yeah.
So I want to quickly call on Shola to, tell us 1 or 2 things that we need to know, then we bring the cutting to a close. Shola, over to you.
Sorry, I was speaking on mute. Thank you very much to our panelists. This was a very interesting session. I must admit that it was also very informative, and I know like all good things come to an end and we literally have to end this event. So as we bring this remarkable event to a close, I want to express my gratitude to every stakeholder that has shown up and contributed to the success of this event in the last couple of months. If I'm being honest, since last year, because I started this project since last year. We've had insightful contributions and deliberations, and we strongly believe that these events will position us stakeholders paramount to building Edo State's digital economy. The project efforts was aimed at ascertaining a state-specific, digital economy needs and imperative to Edo State. And we also wanted to domesticate the national digital economy policy, which is and strategy, the NDEPS in Edo State. So Edo State's digital economy can grow rapidly if the government and key stakeholders can invest in the upskilling of its indigenes and also the infrastructure to enable this growth. At Tech4Dev, we hope that this series of events and the report that we will eventually share with the Edo State government will kickstart the growth that we foresee. Through events like this at Tech4Dev, we reaffirm our collective commitment that we're creating an inclusive and equitable society where skills are the foundation for advancement. So at this junction, once again, I'd like to express my sincerest appreciation to the Edo State government, the head of service, the Edo State ministries, the Edo State Ministry of Digital Economy, Science and Tech, the ICTA, and all Edo State's MDAs represented, and definitely to all our private stakeholders, CSOs, NGOs, and everyone who was represented in one way or the other. And more importantly, these events will not be possible without the Foreign Commonwealth Development Office, the FCDO, and the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, the NESG. Thank them for their continued support in ensuring that Edo is carried along in this digital transformation. Once again, to all our amazing panelists, Mr. Kelvin, Ms. Udige, Mr. Ikpen, Mr. Aganemaro, and to our moderator, Mr. Basil, thank you for honoring our invitation. And to all who were on the call from the start of this call till now, thank you for prioritizing us. We know that it's not easy to leave whatever it is you're doing to participate in this virtual dissemination of the event. So basically, I just want to end with this reminder that the journey towards a transformative future is not solitary. It's a collective endeavor that requires the commitment and collaboration of all individuals, organizations, and communities worldwide. You all are part of this collective endeavor. So thank you very much once again for your time, your participation, and your support. Over to you, Manuel.
Thank you very much, Shola. Before I leave, thank you, Tech4Dev. Thank you, Mr. Sabanal. Thank you, Kelvin. YB. Thank you, my Tech Hub. And I'm looking forward to further collaboration and making sure that this MDEX domestication, it comes to reality. I appreciate you all, and God bless.
Thank you very much, PS. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, my PS.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Mom. Thank you.
The audience also thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Before the end of next week, you will see the draft report. Tentatively in the year, by the end of next week, you see the draft report on your email, so that you can also peruse and share your feedback before it goes to ESCO for approval. Thank you so much, and then do have a great midweek.
Bye-bye, everyone. And see you when we see.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye, everyone.